Yes, my people, welcome to AFTV News Daily with me, Cecil G, and I've got the infamous trash talking.
That's how it's going.
Nah, Mr. Winder Upper. Nah, I'm joking. We got Laurie Lowe in the building. You good?
Respect, bro. I'm good, man. I'm good. Looking forward to this.
I wanted to give you
first time on the show.
It is your first time on the show, and I wanted to give you a big intro like you do on Talk Is Cheap.
Don't know if you got time.
Nah, those intros are iconic, very long but very good. Make sure you check out Talk Is Cheap. But today I want to talk to be expensive. I want it to be very free flowing, and I know you have a lot of opinions. If you guys don't know that are watching, Laurie's part of the office and part of the team, obviously. And when we have our debates, he likes to throw little jabs in that, you know.
No, you mean I speak my mind, right?
You speak your mind.
Yeah.
But they are at times it's very controversial, very controversial. So we're gonna get through some of them, those talking points today throughout the show. Obviously, there's a lot of news that have come through this morning as well regarding the team and off the back of the North London derby. I want to get you guys' opinions as well on what we've found out today. Let's just start by talking about Xhaka.
Granit.
Mr. Granit.
Mr. Granit
does split the fan base at times.
He does.
He's returned back from a red card suspension, also having COVID as well. He returned back from the North London derby. Some people were shocked to see him in the squad. Let's start with that. Were you shocked to see him?
No, I wasn't shocked at all.
No? You were confident that Arteta, if he was available, which he was available?
In fact, on our show, Talk Is Cheap show, make sure you check out that show. I've been saying that a few times in the show. But, on the show, myself and Curtis, because as you know, Curtis is not having Granit Xhaka at all. He's not having him. Whereas myself, whilst I can understand why some people will have issues with Xhaka, he can be rash, he can be a bit irresponsible at times, he doesn't get the ball forward, the usual types of Granit Xhaka detractor things that people say.
Yeah.
But I've always thought that he's not as bad a player as a lot of the Arsenal fan base like to make out. And I actually think he's a decent player. And he does bring certain elements to the team.
Which are the attributes you like to see?
Physicality, presence, experience, and stuff like that. Leadership qualities, and I know everyone's going to agree with this type of thing.
Of course.
But I see those things in him, and I see a guy that has his limitations, but he pretty much does what it says on the tin. And you do need people like that within your team. You can't. Listen, man. You play football. Yeah. You can't have 11 ballers. Every mate, you know what I mean? There has to be a structure.
Right.
And
correct.
within that
That's
structure,
correct.
You need guys that are gonna contain, break up the play, do the simple things, but do it efficiently. Now, sometimes it can be argued that he doesn't do these things efficiently, and he can be a bit rash. But he's a man's man, man. He's a macho guy. Hence the name Granit, you know what I mean?
I'm not gabbing, oh my lord. You might as well put Annie Joshua in the middle. You might as well put Annie Joshua in the middle of the park if you want someone with physical presence and all of that.
Man, Granit might not have... Granit might have done better against Usyk than AJ did, and I'm a big AJ fan. But anyway, to get back to the football. What I'm saying is he has certain attributes that I think enhance the team. I'm going to keep it as simple as that. I mean, I always say to people, right, and keep it real, I'm going to ask you this question.
Go on.
In years gone by, people have always said, Arsenal are weak in midfield, they get bullied, they get pushed around. Can you say that you've ever seen Granit Xhaka getting pushed around and bullied?
No, I wouldn't say he gets pushed around and bullied, but I think he gets put into full sense of he's dominating mentally over players. So there's times where he acts rash, which you spoke about previously I think that can be targeted. I think he doesn't get bullied. But then if you like a tackle, at times you're going to be rash. Goes with the territory, isn't it? Yeah, I hear that, but that can also come at the cost of Arsenal and our performances or us losing the game. I think in the North London derby there was a time where he went in two-footed. Obviously, he didn't get the player, but he stopped him. I was like, there's the old Xhaka. There's glimpses of it. That's not to take away from his performance. I think he had a great game at the North London derby. But for me, he's more of a risk now. When there was rumours that he was going to Roma, I thought that would have benefited him. I think that was going to be the perfect move for him. I was ready to see the back of Xhaka, but he's here.
Listen, a succession of managers, Wenger, Emery, and now Arteta, they've always played Granit Xhaka.
But why? I know what you're saying.
They've done that because they like him as a person? No, you would have to be offering something a lot more than just being a likeable guy. Because we hear, and I think it's fairly safe to say that he's very popular around the dressing room. But you don't get a starting place in the first team just because people like you.
But I also think that's down to his attitude, Laurie, in the sense of that they always talk about he's the first in training. He likes to be a senior professional around the youngsters. But for me, that doesn't show me that you're a good player on the ball and benefit the team. Being a more professional, I've been in clubs where there's busy people that are out training, kicking the ball against the wall, doing extra, all of that. They getting in when it comes to the starting 11, but actual quality-wise, not always great. But you know what? But if
you're building a team, you need people in that team that bring other elements to the table. People you can rely on. People who
do you rely on Xhaka then? And we know Arteta relies on Xhaka.
In terms of
me
giving
personally,
his best
I
for
don't.
The team, I absolutely do. Yeah, I do. Reliability in terms of his rashness, and listen, people will always point to the red cards, and people will say, that popular one that gets trotted out about the amount of fouls he's committed has led to more goals than any other midfielder. I think something along them lines that people always trot out. But I think the benefits outweigh the negatives, man. So
you generally believe that?
I generally do, yeah. I mean, listen, he's not the best ball player in the team. He's got a range of passing, but it's not as good as it could be. He's not the quickest guy in the world. I think that's fair to say. But like I said, he's solid, man. He has a presence. And he's that type of guy that you want with you. I always say to them, man, right, in the office, and I've said this to you before, so I'm not capping.
Yeah, we argue this a lot, by the way.
I've always said to you that if I'm on a night out,
here we go.
My night out. No, but
if I had to bring someone on a night out, and there was a scuff started, who would you bring along?
You out there, right?
Here we
go. You're on a night out, right, and you had to pick a couple of them Arsenal men to come with you, and if it got a bit tasty on the night, who would you want alongside you?
Guys, I hear this question every day. This is Laurie's go-to. Who would you want beside you on night? I think if a scuff happens, who do you want?
Yeah.
Bro, I'd want...
If shit goes down, what type of man you want with you?
I would want Kolasinac as well, but I wouldn't want him in my starting 11, Laurie. Do you know what I mean? This argument kills me. Guys, let us know who you would want, because I'd be intrigued to hear what you have to say to this, because we get this every day.
And I don't want to come across as a Granit Xhaka fanboy. I'm just putting the case...
It seems like it, but I hear go on.
I'm not playing devil's advocate for the sake of it. I truly believe these things. He's not the best ball player. Yes, I agree with that. But he brings certain elements to the team that I think enhances our team. That is why Arteta, right, after him missing a few games, I said to Curtis, shout out to Curtis, I said, he's going to play. Whether you lot like it or not, the manager's going to pick him. And I can see why the manager would, because North London derby, massive game. We needed to win. We're at home. We've gone through, hell and high water in the previous games, although we're starting to make a return. But this game was important. Xhaka had been out. He's available for this game. Is the manager going to say to himself, you know what? I need somebody in there with the experience, with the presence, with the mentality of a Xhaka? Yes, I do. So, Sambi, you've done well for us, bro. Sit this one out. I'm going with the big boys today. You'll get your opportunity.
Oh, that hurts.
I think that was the rationale behind it. I truly do.
That does hurt me to hear, because
not everyone can be a baller. I keep saying it. It's a team game, bro.
Not everyone can be a baller. But okay, so you're basically saying he's the best out of a bad bunch, is what you're kind of saying there.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
You're just saying not everyone can be a baller.
I'm saying that he brings certain attributes
that benefit the squad,
that benefit the team.
But did
you watch him for Switzerland?
Oh, we're not doing this. We're not. This is another one of Laurie's favourites. Did you watch Switzerland against France?
For Switzerland, he's one of their main guys.
But no one wants to hear about what happens at Switzerland when we've seen so many calamities at Arsenal. But yes, he does well internationally, but it's not replicated when he plays for Arsenal. The only time I'll give him his performance, I'll give him his dues for North London Derby. He played well.
The only time? Bro,
yeah, I think Xhaka plays good for his standard for the side. I think what you're saying when you're saying he brings qualities, he offers something different than what Arsenal players don't have in that midfield. Not everyone can be a baller. I get what you're saying. Not everyone can be the flair player. Not everyone can change the game and dribble with it and take loads of touches. Yeah. But there's been so many.
If you're going to compare Xhaka with like a Fernandinho and them, man, right, then clearly Fernandinho
levels above.
But then Fernandinho is part of the City squad. I'm saying, listen, for who we are and what we are right now, to me, Granit Xhaka fulfills a role. I'm not saying that he's an elite player, but I'm saying he's a good enough player for us. And I see what elements he brings to the side, and I'm comfortable with that, man.
More comfortable over El Neni doing the same role as him.
Oh, he's a better player than El Neni. He's got a better range of passing. He's more physical. He tackles better. Yes, El Neni scored a couple of goals and stuff, but if you ask me to choose between El Neni and Granit Xhaka, it's a no-brainer.
Okay, it's an interesting topic.
No-brainer.
Now I'm going to go back.
That's no disrespect to El Neni.
No, of course. People who obviously may not have seen Talk is Cheap. Yes, yes, Laurie is related to Robbie. It's his brother. So people are asking, are you related?
One.
You're the
looking one.
the older brother to Robbie, the Don. Also, people are saying, to that question I said, who would you want to take with you to a scuff or a night out? People are saying, some people are saying Xhaka, some people are saying Kolasinac with me.
I'll take Kolasinac if I was going for arms out.
Someone said Gabriel.
Somebody said Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu. Someone said Tomiyasu. Someone said Partey. So listen, we get this.
But who would you rather? El Neni or Granit?
No, but Laurie, there's difference to who would you want by your side if you go to a club and something kicks off compared to who do I want
just
playing.
using that as an analogy to show people what I'm talking about in terms of that physicality, that mentality.
Yeah.
That type of, you know what I mean? There's all those things that people used to say about us. Oh, you're weak, you're getting bullied.
Yeah, they used to say that. I think that narrative is changing though. I think that narrative is changing. Yes, we have a lot of youngsters.
Tell me somebody who bullies Xhaka. It'll be few and far between. Tell me somebody.
But you can say that about Partey, you can say that against Gabriel.
No, but I like Partey for that reason as well. Partey's like the all-round midfielder. He's got it all.
You can even say that about Lacazette. Like, he doesn't really get, if Myers doesn't really get bullied either. So I hear your argument. Yeah, but
Granit reminds me of some of them Albanian men I used to work on the door with.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were on smoke.
They're tough people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Don't underestimate them, man. They're tough people and very likable people as well, by the way.
Right, let me get to the news because we just did a whole conversation about Xhaka. We didn't actually tell everyone what the news is.
No, because I often get, because people think that I'm capping for Xhaka. Like,
no, I think that sometimes when we're next door, I feel like you're just doing it just to
No. You know, what it is, I'm just one of a number of people who don't. I'm the one voice that kind of.
No, people support. Listen.
No, in the office.
Oh, in the office you are.
Yeah,
yeah.
I find I'm the only one. So sometimes I may go overboard a bit, a little bit, just by virtue of the conversation.
Yeah.
People are going to say, "Oh, you're capping for Xhaka." No, I genuinely do believe it. But when I'm faced with all this hostility, Xhaka, then I feel I have to defend my turf. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we give him credit where credit's due. Like I keep saying, he had a good game.
Put some respect on his name, bro.
Yeah, man. Like we can do that. We do that for now, North London derby, but. We can do that for now, but like I was going to go to the news. It's unfortunate.
I'll tell you now, anyone who you like out there, if you see him, you won't be telling him that to his face. I'll tell you that now.
That's another Laurie. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, that's another Laurie classic. He likes to say that as well. He likes to say that. If you saw him, would you keep like the same energy?
The man who, they wouldn't have that energy, bro. They'd be asking him for a selfie. Trust me. You too.
Don't you dare. I've seen Xhaka. I've seen Xhaka. I've not run up to.
I could say something now, but I'm not.
Yeah, no. That's different. I've seen Xhaka. I didn't do
I know things, bro.
Yeah, you're good.
But it's all right.
I'll explain that. When the time's right, I'll explain that.
I'm not ready for you yet. But if you test me, I might have to.
I'll explain, ladies and gentlemen. I will explain that all to you all once I'm contractually allowed. Yeah, but now we'll let
that stay right.
We'll get to that. But yeah, if you see Xhaka, I would just let him do his thing. But anyway, let's get to the news now. Unfortunately, like I said, we pick him up from the North London Derby, but let's talk about, unfortunately, he's not available now due to injury from the North London Derby game. He is, let me just get this right.
Is it confirmed?
It's confirmed that he suffered a ruptured inner ligament in his right knee. This is according to Andreas Bonai. Initial diagnosis, they're kind of saying he's going to be out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Wow. Will we really... I know you, like you said, you're a Xhaka enthusiast when it comes to just backing him in the office. Will we miss him? Because if you think about it, but if you think about it, we've got Lokonga there, and I know he didn't play in the North London Derby, but I think for the next run of games that we have, Lokonga kind of does slot in. We've got Brighton, I believe we've got Palace.
Everything I said about Xhaka is not to detract from Sambi.
Yeah.
Sambi is going to be a hell of a player. I mean, listen, this guy came to the club, highly recommended by people no less than Thierry Henry, legend.
Vincent
Kompany, man. Yep. All these guys have earmarked this guy for some big things. You're not going to get the likes of Thierry Henry and Vincent Kompany come on record and big up a guy that they don't truly believe in. They're just not going to do it. There's no, you know what I mean? There's no real reason for them to do that. So if they're waxing lyrical about a player, you know that he must be half decent.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen of Sambi, I like the look of him, man. He's physical. maybe not as physical as Xhaka, because he's not acquired his man strength yet like Xhaka has. But you know what I mean? He's athletic. He gets around the pitch and he can play a bit.
He can. Does he?
So potentially his ceiling is higher than Xhaka's.
Potentially, Laurie. Come on.
Yeah, well, some people might say he's a better player already. But anyway,
his ceiling is higher.
His ceiling is higher, yeah? His ceiling is higher.
Yeah.
But although we don't know, you know what I mean, you don't know anything. But listen, his ceiling looks high and he's going to be a very good player.
Yeah, Sambi.
And listen, why not learn off Xhaka while he's there? I mean, he's brought in as an understudy to Xhaka, really, isn't he?
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
well, yeah, from what
he's learning his trade. And he looks like he's going to be a very good player for Arsenal and going forward for Belgium and everything else. But he's not quite there yet. He was brought in, like I said, as an understudy. So he will learn his trade. He's getting fast tracked now because obviously Xhaka's going to be out.
So does he go straight in for you over
me,
not Elneny, not Maitland-Niles?
Is cool.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say obviously, because we got Brighton, we got Palace, and we got Aston Villa. I think I do actually understand, as much as I did criticise Arteta for say I thought he wasn't going to put Xhaka in against the North London derby due to being out for 3 games, not having match fitness. He suffered from COVID as well, which can affect your fitness as well. So I didn't expect him to start, but he did. He done really well. But now that he's out, and I understand it because Lokonga's young, he hasn't really played in a derby, may not understand how serious the severity of the game against Tottenham on Sunday that we played on the weekend. But going forward, like I said, we got Brighton, Palace, and Aston Villa. Favourable games, tough opposition. Don't get me wrong. I know you've got thoughts to say that Brighton are tougher opposition than Tottenham, so we can talk on that as well. So, but do you think it's fair to just say throw him straight in against those teams?
Well, we have to, because it's between him and Elneny. Well, Maitland-Niles as well, who I like. Listen, the pecking order, to me, you would have Xhaka, Sambi, Ainsley, and Elneny.
Okay.
That would be my pecking order.
Okay. That's fair. No, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Okay.
So Granit's out.
Yeah.
So I would expect Sambi to come in, but I would expect to see Ainsley get a few games and Elneny as well. Because listen, people say things about Elneny that ain't always complimentary, myself included. I'm sure you've said the odd thing.
Yeah.
But the one thing that nobody cannot say, the one thing you can't say about Elneny is that he doesn't give it his all.
No.
He's another one. He's a team man. You know what I mean? And
he does what it says on the tin.
Attributes to the team that you need. You need guys that are going to roll their sleeves up and play for the shirt and give it their all. And that's something that Elneny does.
Yeah, agreed. I think you're speaking on there a lot of players that they do their job, but for me,
character.
Old
school, bro.
Yeah, they do their job, but for me, the quality is just not where obviously we remember it back in the day and what we want of Arsenal. But it is improving, which we're going to get to later on in the show about the signings and what's going on. But 6 to 8 weeks out, a long time. It's really difficult to talk about because Norwich and Burnley, we didn't have Xhaka.
Yeah.
Did we miss him in that game?
Yeah, we did.
You believe that as well? We won those games, not convincingly enough for me. Was it because we didn't have Xhaka in our midfield?
No, I wouldn't say it was just because of that. Because we had, we had problems with injuries and with COVID with other players as well. So, but it was noticeable that once the players started coming back, it was noticeable that we did start to play better.
Yeah.
Are we totally there yet? No, in terms of the performances. But there's definitely an upward trajectory. And things are looking a lot rosier in the garden than they were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
And then it has to be said that the attitude and the character of the team were openly being questioned, weren't they? And Xhaka included in that. I remember when he got sent off against City.
Yeah.
1 or 2 pundits were out there saying he did it deliberately, he wanted to get sent off. That's a lot.
Oh, that was outrageous.
You know what I mean? But in any event, the team are getting hammered for their so-called lack of mental toughness, you know what I mean? And I do think that in the past we have been guilty of that, if I'm being honest.
I agree, but I also think that's down to we have a young squad.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
average age is 25. I think nowadays
other teams have young squads as well.
I know, but you don't
hear them.
That's very true. But we have a majority of a young squad. Like I said, the average age is 25. It's a very, very young side, and the experienced players within that young side, the experienced players, I don't think have that mentality of leadership and that strong mentality. So I can see why it gets questioned because the experienced players that we want to have that mentality and lead the way aren't doing it. So then we rely.
And you know what I mean, be able to bring those extra bits of your Aubameyangs and people like that, extra bit of quality when it's needed.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And we're starting to see that in the last couple of games, but it's a long road, isn't it?
Okay.
It's something that has to be developed and nurtured. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen overnight.
That's very true.
Unless you've got an extremely talented bunch. You get lucky. You know, you get some teams where they're like a force of nature. Like they've got 4, 5, 6 guys and everyone's firing and everyone's off the same page and it looks you know what I mean?
Looks nice. Yeah, it looks perfect.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're building. You know what I mean?
But we're seeing glimpses of it.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Definitely of
you
recent.
saw it in the first half against Tottenham, man. That was probably, I don't know what you think, that's probably the best half of football
in a while
I've seen. No, I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to say since Arteta took over, and I'm including some of our big victories in the FA Cup and stuff. In terms of quality and dominance, that first half against Tottenham was as good as I've seen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my brains around some.
Tailed off in the second half.
Yeah, we'll get to later. Yeah, I know you got some thoughts on
that. No, energy,
the
pressing,
football, everything was.
The quality. Look at that second goal
there.
by Aubameyang.
Yeah,
my guy.
It was class.
Aubameyang, a man that I've been backing. When other man, some of them not a million miles from here, when they're throwing shade on Abba, I was saying, listen, form is temporary, class is permanent. Something that I've grown up hearing my dad and big man say things like that.
Let's not get let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get ahead of ourselves with that. Okay, but yes, but you're right. Big up Aubameyang. We're gonna move on.
Seriously, that second goal, that's goal of the month done, Rust.
Yeah, the way the build up play.
Goal of the month done.
100%. I liked it. It was like watching old Arsenal. Yeah, it was class. Brilliant goal. It was class, and Xhaka had a big part to play in it. Starting
see how you just ease off my man like that. That's what I'm saying.
The physical presence, right?
Physical. That's what man don't watch. Listen, you play a lot of football.
I do.
You understand the mechanics of teamwork.
I really do.
Like you're a baller. Listen, this man can play football, yeah, but sometimes you need to earn that right to.
100%. That's facts.
So that's where you're more ugly. You know what I mean? Grizzly man. Them. They win that ball. They rough up man, intimidate certain man, and that will allow you to have the ball in order for you to do your thing. So the mental battle's won, the physical battle, the mental battle's won, and then the pretty boys like you can do your little step overs and you curl it in the top corner and it's all good.
Do you know what it is, Lloyd?
But it's a team.
It is a team game. I just want a player that in that midfield that can do both, can assert his dominance and then be able to play as well, which I think we have in Partey. Obviously, that's nothing against Xhaka. Xhaka does play his part. I think you're right in what you say there. I've been critical at times, but I've seen so much mistakes from him, and I think if I was playing against Xhaka, I would target that. But it doesn't always happen.
He is rash.
There's
one thing that with Xhaka, and especially for a guy that as experienced as he is, he should be less rash. So sometimes you'll see him go full blown into tackles. You think, bro, you didn't need to do that.
100%.
A guy of your experience,
100%.
You should have just shepherded him out, or just stay there and stay solid and you know what I mean?
Hold off. Yeah.
But you've gone straight in. Why'd you do that? But I think that's I put that down to his makeup as a guy that loves a tackle. He's aggressive. He's machismo.
Remember,
he's an alpha male.
Yeah, he's a leader.
He's an alpha
male. Leader. Remember, his parents gave him the keys, and then remember giving the house keys over his older brother. Like,
no, but you know what I'm saying? He's an alpha male, isn't it?
No, he is. He's
an alpha male.
He definitely, especially in that dressing room. I'm sure he's the one that's kind of like no one can really chat to him. But
he's that guy that's gonna stick his head above the parapet. It's like, yeah, what do you want? He's gonna, Let's do this. Yeah. All right, let's move on because we've spent 25 minutes and we're still on Xhaka. There's still other news. So apologies for that. But I'm just gonna end this by wishing Xhaka a speedy recovery. Yeah, man. Big up,
obviously, we're gonna want you back. We're gonna need you back in the team. So hopefully the recovery goes well. If you haven't seen, it's on his partner's post on Instagram saying that he's gonna be out and they're wishing him a speedy recovery as well. So check that out. We're gonna move on now to. We spoke about this yesterday, me and myself and Turkish, about Daniel Ek and the takeover. We obviously saw Daniel Ek with Pierre-Emerick, the North London derby, and Pierre-Emerick spoke about it on Monday Night Football, I believe, yesterday. This is some of the things he said. We've got a little story here saying Arsenal icon Pierre-Emerick has claimed that Daniel Ek's proposed takeover of the Gunners could take a long time after the pair were spotted at the Emirates Stadium during the Gunners' 3-1 win over Tottenham. For the moment, we enjoyed, obviously, the win yesterday, says Pierre-Emerick, telling Sky Sports. I think it's going to be long. I think you remember me saying it's going to be a long time. How long it's going to be, I don't actually know, but we're here to stay. So, again, I think a lot of people know this already. It's maybe common knowledge to you all that they're still trying to buy the club. Daniel Ek still wants the club, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen straight away. We know that the Kroenkes have refused to sell the club. They
Well,
don't want the money. They're businessmen. Yeah, they're trying to maybe push their value up a little more.
They're hard-nosed businessmen as well. You're not just going to...
I think they're
So this is
arrogant.
what I was... No, but you say that, Cesar, right? But you've got to look at it from the other side of the coin as well. These guys are hard-nosed businessmen. You know what I mean? You've only got to look at their history in business. You know what I mean? They're not just going to, like, succumb to the whim of the fans just like that. You know what I mean? They'll sell when they feel it's in their interest to sell, when they're good and ready. They're not going to be pushed around and bullied by supporters outside the club chanting names. They don't even go to the games for number one. So, you know what I mean? They're in their ivory tower back in Texas or wherever it is.
No, it's true.
They don't business like that. And even then, like, they're not going to fold.
No.
They will sell the club when they're good and ready, or if it got really that drastic whereby the share price had plummeted due to the results and all the other, then they might say, well, okay.
I still don't even think then, Laurie, because the last season was the perfect time to sell. They weren't making much money. We weren't in profit at the club. We were 8th. Was out of Europe, and the Super League didn't happen, so they lost money on that. There was they got fined as well. A lot of money got taken out from the business, and you'd think this is the perfect time to sell. The pressure was on them, but they stuck to it.
Because they're hard-nosed businessmen.
The hard-nosed businessmen.
They didn't get to where they got to by making decisions on a whim.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? So they will do what's good for them. And we all know in business, it fluctuates.
It does.
So the share price will drop now, but I bet if you look at the share price after Sunday's game, you will see a different story. So, Daniel Ek and his backers, people like Henry, who's in his little coterie, they have to play the long game. They know that.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, Daniel Ek and Thierry Henry side by side at a game like that, you know what I mean? It's the perfect storm for them.
It is. Now I'm gonna take some super chats, but we're gonna come back to that because I know there's some things I want to discuss with you guys as well, because I want to get your opinions on what we spoke about earlier. Oz F says Xhaka reminds me of Van Bommel. He can't be trusted. This is obviously back from when the discussion over Xhaka. Nick Goulart says Xhaka is the best player in the team at doing what he does. But there are far better quality players we can get that can do it too. Basuma,
I said
Neves.
that he brings certain attributes to the team that I think a manager would appreciate.
Okay. By the way, Nick, you're spot on there. By the way, that's what he said about the Xhaka. No, he's saying about Xhaka is the best player in the team at what he does, but there are better quality players, which I agree with. AM at football. Again, big up a regular as well. The big plus from last 4 games has to be the passion and pride evident in the performances. Players who fight for the badge is the first step required in this rebuild. Where do you think we'll finish? Now, we'll get to where do you think we'll finish towards the end of the show. But let's go back to Daniel Ek, Thierry, and the consortium. Now, Laurie posed a question to me before we went live. Okay? It's a speculation, but it's something that I want to discuss with everyone watching, and I want to hear from you guys, and I want to discuss with you, Laurie. Ek is there with Thierry. We saw him there, smiling. Thierry's son was there. If Ek does buy the club, which eventually we think is probably going to happen at some point.
At some point, we'd like to think so.
Yeah, because they're in it for the long game. Does Ek then say, Thierry Henry, here's the manager job. Patrick Vieira was supposed to be part of the consortium as well. Here's the manager job.
Dream team.
Is that? Do you believe that is what that could happen? Like Arteta, as soon as they're in, they're like, you know what, this manager.
It's not inconceivable, because at the end of the day, listen, we know that Thierry is a manager.
Yes.
Right, and we know that he has aspirations of managing at the top level. We know that he's in with Daniel Ek. Daniel Ek has used Henry to front his bid, so to speak.
Yep.
Now listen, man, you've heard of the words quid pro quo, yeah? People in life don't do nothing for nothing.
No, definitely not.
You know what I mean? So, if Daniel Ek takes over, I could see whereby you could see a scenario where Henry, manager, and someone like Vieira, maybe is alongside him, or maybe Thierry Henry's in the boardroom and he brings in man like Vieira or Bergkamp or people.
Well, this is where the question's posed, people. Like, if the Daniel Ek becomes the owner, obviously, what is the consortium going to do? Obviously, they can advise and do whatnot, be at the games and whatnot. But realistically, if Patrick Vieira is part of it, he's a manager currently at Palace doing well. We've got Thierry Henry, who's an ex-manager right now. He's not managing the team. Like, they're going to want to have some sort of role. I know consortium is a role, but when they have managerial qualities and they're looking at a team thinking, I could probably do a better job, surely they're gonna say Daniel X gonna be like, do you know what? You take it,
because we get that.
Yeah, they love you. He knows that we love Thierry and Patrick. They know that they know that. So I want to know. Do you think that's a possibility? That's what's going to happen. Do you think Daniel X is going to say, you know what, take the job?
That's the perfect storm.
Would you want that though? Be honest. Would you want a Patrick Vieira to take over the club?
Well, listen. You know what? Patrick Vieira, as we know, has just taken over at Palace, and he's doing an okay job so far. With, let's face it, limited players in terms of the top quality. So we want to see him do well. I mean, I've been saying to people that since he took over, Palace is kind of like the team that I watch out for their results other than Arsenal.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And we're actually playing Palace in a couple of weeks' time, so that'll be interesting. The Vieira derby, as it were. But listen, man, if he can prove himself to be a decent manager, can you imagine if in a year or so's time, Ek did take over? And like I said, he's next to Henry and stuff like that. I could see a scenario whereby you see either Henry as manager or maybe a Vieira, or at least them working alongside each other.
Yeah.
At the top echelons of the club. Like I said, it's the perfect storm.
I personally wouldn't want that. I'm going to be honest. I'm happy.
They would have to prove themselves capable.
Right. Exactly. There's that, and it's a thing where Thierry Henry for me is my hero. Still a superhero to this day. He's an icon. I don't know what I'd do if I ever actually got to meet him. I wouldn't want that to be tarnished. Whether he becomes a manager, even a consortium for me is still a bit of a risk, because if things are, say if Daniel Ek does buy the club and things aren't going right, I have to question first Daniel Ek, and then I'll have to start moving around to the consortium sides. Like we question Edu, we question Vinay, we question all these people. Consortium, I think, has a bit of a protection because you're not fully involved. But being a manager at a club where I love and I'm so dedicated to and follow, I couldn't see us fail. And then see the fan base then turn on our heroes, Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry.
No, I
couldn't. I'd be biased. But
at the same time, and I absolutely understand what you're saying, there'd be loads of fans that for them that would be the dream move, wouldn't it? For somebody like
a lot of
Henry,
people.
guys that have been legends at their club.
A lot of people.
Nothing gets fans more excited than to see a legend of your club as a player go on to manage and be successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if it's short-lived, those moments, I mean, listen, Gerrard at the moment, he's gearing up. You know, at sooner or later, he's going to take over from Klopp at Liverpool. You can see it happening.
I think that's true. Yeah, that would be for a lot of people. That might be the perfect.
Yeah, it's the perfect storm.
Perfect storm, as you keep saying.
Imagine as a Liverpool supporter, Gerrard, an absolute legend of the club, and then he comes back to manage your club. You know what I mean? You're going to give him time as well.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't
You're
want.
going to overlook certain things and you're going to think, oh man, at least give him a chance. I'm not saying it's going to work, but it's the perfect storm. And likewise with Ek and Henry alongside him now, you see him, and I'm looking at that dynamic and I'm thinking, yeah, Daniel Ek's a smart man. I'm not saying he used Henry, but I'm saying that it's the perfect storm. You got Henry in all the photo shots with him, you know what I mean? It looks good. And then people are gonna automatically get behind Ek because Henry's there.
Yeah.
And then if you're Henry, it works for you because you're thinking, well, you never know. If
I might get the job,
over,
I'm staying relevant and all that. Yeah, I'm still the club.
He's looking for a manager or a
it's
director of football, then I might be that guy. So it was, as I keep saying, it's the perfect storm.
Do you know what it is?
And I would just say on that as well, right, with Vieira, if he takes over, just hypothetically speaking, Ek takes over next season and Vieira's kept Palace up, he would have done more in management to this point than Arteta would have done before he got the job, because he didn't have any managerial experience at City, did he? He was Pep's number 2.
True.
At least with Vieira, he can say, I've managed in France, I've managed in the MLS, I'm managed in the Premier League, I kept Palace up.
Yep. It's got a bit more portfolio. I hear
if
that.
It's not going well for.
I hear that.
If it's not going well for Arteta, and Ek takes over, you might think we need a change of management. You might well say,
Patrick, you got the experience. Yeah. Okay, well, again, I'm gonna.
And if he's backed in the transfer market, why not?
I'm gonna stick to it and say I would not want that. Do you know what it is as well? Because there's an argument to say, well, look at Frank Lampard, hero for Chelsea, came and done a managerial role. Yes, he got sacked. However, it's fine. The fans still love him. They still take him as a hero. They still understand it.
You ask Frank Lampard, I bet you say he would have. I've heard him say it already. He's got no regrets.
Yeah.
The opportunity arose. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I did as well as I could. I acted in good faith. The fans supported me. Things didn't go right in the end. I got the sack, but hey, most managers end up getting the sack at
anyway.
some point.
So
at least that's on his CV.
Right. So that is the argument. But for me, I like I just said, I couldn't see it go wrong for Pierre-Emerick. And I'm not saying it would, but I really, especially doing this as well and speaking on it and having my opinion all the time, it would pay me to see it not go the way that I would want to see it if he became manager. So we're going to move on from that, but that's how we kind of come to it. We've got some comments here as well. Henry as a manager... Callum says Henry as a manager is a big no.
It's Henry, man.
Oh yeah, Henry.
Henry. When you say Henry, innit?
I know, but I'm just reading that as Henry as a manager is a. Hey, I know about King Henry, King Thierry, boy. Henry as a manager is a big no. He's a poor coach. Tamp says to conclude, Cecil wants Kroenke to remain. Lol, I don't want Kroenke to remain. I want Daniel Ek. I just don't want. Like I said, one of our heroes as managers. I'd rather just stay in the consulting.
Henry's first foray into management has not been very successful. But that's not to say, I mean, you learn as a manager and a coach, don't you? You know what I mean? You hopefully you grow.
Yeah, you grow. Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Not everyone could be Alex Ferguson and just go straight into it and start winning trophies straight away and Mourinho and people like that. You have to grow. So listen, man, he might be better for those experiences that he had.
That's true.
So I don't think you can just write him off. And then look, man, where he was managing before is nowhere near the same level of quality that it could be managing if you took over Arsenal.
Yeah, in the Premier League.
You can't write the man off like that.
So. Al James says, Cecil, I asked Turkish about the grass being greener yesterday and he wanted Ek either way. I feel the only way he'll get in is if Arteta fails. Do we really want that now with the upturn in form? No, I don't want. I'm happy with the upturn in form. And
I mean, it's not going to happen right now.
No, it's not going to happen. It's a long time.
These men are not going to be bullied out of the club. They're what we call hard-nosed businessmen. They're only going to make certain moves when it suits them.
Yes,
not when it suits the fans.
It's going to take time.
Them. Let's keep it real, man.
100%. Now, I'm gonna go to Vinay. Vinay spoke to a fan forum yesterday, guys. If you guys aren't aware of that, he spoke to a fan forum. I've got some quotes. I'm not gonna go through all of it because I'm gonna say there's a lot, but I'll go through some of the quotes said and we can discuss it because it kind of leads in perfectly towards the end of the show, which will be.
The first thing I'm going to say about that,
go on.
Speaking of it, isn't it fortuitous that he spoke to him after we're on this little run?
Oh yes, the timing, timing is superb.
You didn't speak to them after the City game or the Chelsea game. You know what I mean? But hey, it's all good.
Do you know what? That's a very good point. Let's be very aware of that first and foremost. You're well said. Well said, Laurie.
After smashing Tottenham at home.
True, and a lot of the comments are about the signings and how the direction of Arsenal are moving. This is after a win. So let's just start with some things that were said. I'm getting this from at Peter Host on Twitter. He got some of the notes written down here. I think he was part of the fan forum. So let's start with notes from the fan forum last night. These all Vinay quotes said, last season was a disappointment. That was the starting point for the transfer window. We wanted to fill our squad with some of the Europe's most exciting young talent and let them grow and develop with the players from Hale End. Okay. He then goes on to say, we signed 6 players between the ages of 21 and 23. All of them are players with plenty of experience and plenty of character. We also renewed contracts for Tierney and Emile Smith-Rowe. All 8 players have been signed on very long contracts, which is good business in what he's saying. He signed. They got Emile Smith-Rowe.
Young guys.
Yep. Yeah, but the character you spoke about earlier, they've added to that by bringing more youngsters in. We're going to move on as well. He said, an exceptionally busy window, 7 first-team players, plus countless academy players left on loan. We agreed mutually with Willian to terminate his contract. 21 Willian out over there is what I was just saying. 21 deals in the men's first team, 57 deals in total, including women.
Although
and
to
academy.
Be fair to Willian, the man could have stuck around and just picked up his money, picked up the bag and just said, "Yeah, I'll sit on the bench."
Truthfully,
but to be fair, you know what I mean.
That's very true. But I still think there was something that went on that we don't know about.
No, obviously they would have been saying, "Listen, man, you ain't got a future here." But you know what? So, you know what it's like with some players, especially at that age. And he's settled here, isn't he?
Yep.
With his wife and kids, he could have just said, "You know what? Allow it. I'll just pick up the bag and I'll go when I'm ready."
Yeah, He didn't.
But anyway,
he left. There was more comments from Vinay saying the support of the fans have been truly outstanding. Arsenal fans have a history of getting behind young players, and we've really seen that. The atmosphere at the North London derby was fantastic. It's hugely valued and hugely appreciated. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this is again talking about the youngsters and bedding in the team. full of youngsters with a lot of talent. And I'm going to quickly just bring up something this is on the AFTV Instagram account. It's from r/Gunners, and he speaks about the new signings. And we're going to end by going into this and talking about, do you trust the process? Has Arteta's plan kind of gone bang? Let's just bring out some of the players here. Edu and Arteta's talent identification this summer needs to be applauded. Ramsdale, the vast majority of the fans were against this at the price. What a sign this looks to be now. He's becoming a fan favourite. Fair point. Odegaard, Edu and Arteta held firm when Buendia was being bought by Villa, waiting to see if Odegaard would be available. Many fans preferred Maddison over him, and some were even underwhelmed by the signing. 30 million looks to be a steal right now. That's another fair point. These are good signings at the moment.
Because I would have preferred Maddison over him, to be honest.
I would have. I wanted Buendia.
Yeah, I would have taken Buendia.
But now, looking at it,
Odegaard is a good player. There's no doubt.
There's no doubt, and he seems to have a lot of leadership qualities as well.
I think the only slight thing that kind of detracted from him a little bit is that some people felt underwhelmed at the fact
that he's been at the club before.
When he was at the club before, is that he got, I think it was like 1 goal and 1 assist.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Slightly underwhelming. People said they wanted to see him impact the games more. So I think people had always acknowledged his ability, but they're saying we didn't want him to be another wishy-washy guy with talent. They want to see him impact the game, and they were pointing to the lack of goals and assists and saying, for all his so-called ability, he's not really scoring or assisting much.
But
he's starting to address that.
He is, and obviously scored the free kick. We're going to move and carry on with Ben White. Arsenal were being ridiculed left, right, and centre for this transfer. He's exactly the sort of centre back we needed with his on-the-ball qualities. We're going to carry on. Tomiyasu, a lot of us
on Ben White. Listen, man, I've been quite impressed with Ben White. Yes, because the reason why I like Ben White so much is because alongside Gabriel, I'm seeing a partnership develop that I like, and I think. Again, I'm a bit old school, and I've spoken about this on the Talk is Cheap show, is that if you look at central defenders, pairings, it's very important, that partnership.
Correct.
And what you tend to find is you get the big, ugly, grizzly guy, or not ugly, but you know what I'm saying, which in this case would be Gabriel, the more physical, the guy that really likes a challenge and puts himself in there when others people fear to tread, that type of thing.
Yeah.
All right, that kind of Tony Adams type thing, alongside a more cultured, shall we say, looking ball player, which is what Ben White is. So that's your Gabriel, that kind of John Terry, Tony Adams. That's your Gabriel. And then you got Ben White, who's a ball player. Now, it's funny because I was saying to my boy Curtis that it's funny because if anything, you would have thought that would have been Gabriel, given that he's Brazilian.
Yeah.
People always stereotype Brazilians as, these fancy guys. Ballers, step overs, long range passes.
But Gabriel is more.
But Gabriel's more your hardcore
he's
defender.
assertive. Yeah.
And Ben White, the English guy, who people expect, go on, he's the one that's going to hit that 30, 40 yard diagonal pass and try and play the ball out of defence and stuff like that. But listen, regardless of where they come from and their cultural makeup, it looks like a good partnership.
It does. It really does.
I'm quite excited by that partnership.
I am, and I'm going to speak on. I'm going to speak on all of them after of the rest of this. So we're going to Tomiyasu. A lot of us wanted Emerson Royale instead.
Listen, I can remember pundits. I'm not going to name. But I'm sure you heard
the one on Sky. Yeah.
People were saying that Ben White is too good for Arsenal.
Oh,
Remember
Ben
that?
White. Oh, I did hear that. I think it was Tomiyasu saying that he's not even a right back. There was that as well. But yeah, Ben White. I remember that. I do remember that.
1 or 2 people. So-called esteemed pundits were saying, if anything, Ben White is too good for us.
Yeah. Well, I think he's in the right place. I think he's in the right place.
I like him.
On with Tomiyasu again. So he said, Edu and Arteta knew Tomiyasu's profile fit our system more, and it looks like they were spot on. Tavares, we finally have a like-for-like replacement for Tierney, who has had an injury issues in the past, which is true. And then Sambi, this looked like a great signing for the future, but he already looks really, really good whenever he plays. There was so much criticism from both the fans and the media regarding Arsenal's transfer window. All 6 of these signings now look like great business, and Edu and Arteta deserve a lot of credit. Now,
I think they do.
This is where we ask a big question. Everyone watching and listening in, you as well, Laurie. How do I word this? Were we not too hasty, because obviously we finished 8th twice, but are we seeing Arteta's plan or process or project, whatever you want to call it, come into action now? And were we too quick to criticise at the beginning of the season? Because now all the players have been available. We saw it in the North London derby. And it looked like it worked. I enjoyed watching that game. I enjoyed the football. I enjoyed what I saw. The signings. Now, I've been reminded of when I was critical mainly about the prices for certain players. So Aaron Ramsdale, for me now, a great signing. But the price I first heard was 40 million. I thought it was outrageous. I did many news dailies talking about it. But he's proven to be a great signing so far. Yes, a lot of people can say it's too early to judge a lot of these players. But I'm starting to see what Arteta's trying to build. Is it too late? Are we happy with it? Are people now buying into the process? I want to know from you. I want to know from you.
I'll tell you what I took from the transfer window with all the comments flying around. And some people did make some good points. Some people I thought were a bit hasty. But I'll tell you my overall impression. If you look at those signings, right, for the most part, there's no what you call marquee players.
Big signing, yeah.
Standout guys that people can rally behind and
Facts.
say, you know what I mean? So possibly Ben White, you could say, but there was no star.
I wouldn't. There
was no marquee guy.
I wouldn't
Ben White
say Ben White
did sort of capture a lot of attention at the time.
Was that because of the price tag though? Because he's Ben White, 50 million.
Ben White, English guy. People were thinking because, like I said, a lot of pundits were surprised that he'd gone to Arsenal. You know what I mean? But anyway, we got him, and I think we can see already that he's going to be a very useful addition to the squad. But like I said, I think that there was a lack of a marquee signing to get the fans excited. And you can understand why the fans would have been slightly underwhelmed. That being said, you went through that list, man. All of those guys are good players.
Yeah, they are.
And I remember the Ramsdale one is one that I'd like to talk about briefly as well. Because when we signed him, man, there was an undercurrent of negativity.
Oh, a lot. Some people say abuse. There was.
And I couldn't understand that. I was like, bro, we needed a backup keeper because we'd let the guy go from, he was the Australian guy.
Oh yeah, we let that just slipped my mind as you looked at me and I was like, I had it and then it went.
But anyway, he was formerly from Brighton and he came to us and
who I thought we should have kept. Yeah, I thought we should have kept. We should have kept. They will let us know in the comments.
He obviously wanted first team football because
Matt Ryan.
He's going to
Thank you everyone.
Australia in the World Cup.
Slip on my shoulder.
In Qatar.
Yeah.
So you can't blame him for not wanting to stick around if he's not getting games. But I thought at the time that was a bit of a mistake that we let him go. And
I agree.
We were linked with Ramsdale, and there was all this undercurrent of negativity. We don't, we're paying 25 million for him. But I think that's because people were looking for this marquee signing.
But they're also referring, Laurie, as well to the stats of him being relegated by every club he's been at, or 4 clubs, 3 clubs he's been at. So
but that's he's an England
international, and in those seasons, which people also overlooked as well, was he was voted player of the season for most of the clubs he was in. Yeah, so
and I'd seen comments from Sheffield United fans and fans from other clubs he'd played at and said he was a damn good keeper. And at the time when he was coming in pretty much as a number 2, and then as fortune would have it, then you had Leno making comments. I mean, Leno, man, he's come out of this looking really poor because he committed a real faux pas. He had that number 1 shirt there, innit?
Yeah.
Okay. Ramsdale's been brought in as the understudy, as a number 2. Leno was the man in possession, yeah? And then he's making comments to the effect that, well, I don't know how long I'm going to stay because, and that, I'm sorry, he made a major faux pas by doing that. All of a sudden,
he dug his grave.
You're letting Ramsdale through the door. Ramsdale got in through the back door, got the number 1 jersey, and he's performed above expectation. Really.
He has.
He's been brilliant.
He's been great, and it's been. It's been
he's got that personality that the fans can rally behind, and you know what I mean. He's loving it, man. And the fans are loving him.
He is. I'm a big fan.
And he looks like he's going to hold that number 1 jersey for a little while.
Yeah, I think it just came down to a lot of confusion, a lot of us as a fan base potentially, or me as a fan, getting ahead of ourselves, because no one really knew if he was coming in for the number 2 spot, if he was there to as backup for Leno, or if he was coming in for the number 1 spot.
The way I saw it, he was number 2, but they were obviously going to groom him for that number 1 spot in time. But when Leno started talking out of turn,
they was like,
all of a sudden, my man found himself in the hot seat. But to give him credit, he's performed admirably.
He has.
And he's looking comfortable in there.
He
man.
really
you
is.
can't take that number one jersey off him right now.
No, it's going to be hard for Learn to get back into it.
You know what I mean?
100%. Now, some of the players the signs that were made, I still have some doubts.
All of those guys are good players.
I have doubts on some still, but that's because it's early doors. Only for me.
I can see you. Like,
I know I'm mixing a bit to say no. It's only
full, man.
It's only because it's still early. I'm not, and I've seen a
Who's
comment.
your doubts on?
So I'll tell you the doubts.
Suarez.
Thank you very much. I'll say it in a second.
I don't agree.
The
waste man, Cecil out.
I'll chill out. Al James says, Cecil, I think it's really too early to say Arteta's plan is working, beating 20th and 19th, and then getting an encouraging performance for the North London derby,
separate,
which is expected. It's too hard for early to judge. I just want to read that comment because I'm asking the question. I'm not saying that. I want to ask you guys, how do you think? Do you still trust in the process? Do you think we jumped the gun too early? But players that I doubt, let's move back to that. It's still early on, but I've seen Ben White against Burnley held onto the ball a lot of the time, overplayed a bit and got caught. But he's a ball playing centre back. So for me, as a defender, I want you to defend first. I love the new era of everyone like we need to play out from the back.
He's only doing what the manager wants. The manager wants him to play out from the back.
Okay, but can that be to his detriment? But that's supposed to be. It can be. The same with Pepe. Pepe is a good player from your standing, but I think Arteta's got him playing a style of play that doesn't suit him the best, and that's why he suffers. But Pepe, in my opinion, same with Ben White. But Ben White, playing out the back is his strength. But at Burnley, I saw him get caught a few times. Don't get me wrong, against North London derby, he set the tone, started really well, and he did move the ball. But I want my defenders to be able to defend first. And I think against Burnley especially, I was like, ooh, there's times where I'm like, he got caught on the ball. And
when I look at Ben White, I'm almost forced to compare him. Maybe we shouldn't do that yet because early days. But I think a kind of John Stones type situation at City. Again, ball playing centre half, likes to play. We'll play the ball out.
It's true, actually.
We'll take risks at times where you think, actually, just get the ball the hell out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But listen, man, I think he's going to be a good player, man. I believe in that guy. I think he's going to be a good player for us. And like I said, I like the partnership he's building with Gabriel.
Okay,
they're slightly different, but I think together they will.
No, they will. They'll build and grow, and
I think that looks good. And like I said before, you look at those signings. Like I said, there's no real marquee ballers out there that people are going to rush out and get
their names on the back.
It ain't that type of signing, but in terms of what they bring to the team, in terms of the youth and the progression and all the rest of it, I'm very happy with the signings.
Yeah, fair enough. Lewis P says, why are you not calling it a process anymore? The new buzzword is project. Yeah, because Arteta, and he said Arteta out at the end. Arteta keeps changing it. It was process. He said in the interview now it's a project we're building.
Process, project, or the P word, right?
All right, we're slowly coming towards the hour mark. So let me just read the super chats and we'll get to the P word. Alexandra B says, actually, hold on. Let's go. There's quite a few super chats here. Sorry, Nick Goulart says, I've noticed that with White, he's very good at defending. When the play is in front of him, struggles a bit running towards our goal. He will come good, I'm sure. Nick, I agree with that. That's kind of what I was trying to say. Thank you very much. Obviously, it is only one game, so we can't get too ahead of ourselves. Just noticed it from one game, but I'm being cautious. But big up on what you said there. Alexander B says, big up Laurie. Love the Talk is Cheap show.
Thank you.
As for Arsenal, I feel like we've been here before. We won the FA Cup under Arteta. The problem is consistency. So no point getting gassed yet. Very true.
That's great.
Yossi Gami 86 says, we still need a traditional left winger. We can't keep playing Emil Smith Rowe there. Sam should also stay on the right wing. Pepe should be benched unless he proves it. I know Pepe's your guy.
I think Pepe arguably is our most talented footballer. Notice I say talented footballer. I didn't say that he's the best player in the team. But in terms of his ability on the ball, he's up there, man.
Yeah, we have this discussion. We have this debate. I'm not going to do it now because we'll do it later. Robbie last super chat says, Laurie, as far as hard men come, he wouldn't have laced Vieira or Keane's boots back in their day.
That may be true, but
centre half
is
still a prop. Centre half is still a prop too. Need a massive signing.
I wouldn't disagree with most of that, but look, the point I made about Granit is that you have to think about the positives that he's bringing to the team. And what I thought I did was to highlight the physical presence, the mentality that he brings, and the leadership qualities that he brings. And he can play a little bit as well. Come on, man. Give the man some credit. Put some respect on his name. He's not a dud. He can play a little bit too.
I agree. And listen, I see AFC Cape Town there says, listen, I'm backing the players. I love the signings. I think they're good business. And I did a show, I think, I think I did the warm-up, I did a show yesterday as well, where I was just beaming with joy about how well they've come into the squad, and the youngsters are holding Arsenal up, in my opinion. If that's how it is, and they have been in the past couple of weeks. So big them up every time.
That's how it is with teams, bro. You get the young guys that come in. They bring enthusiasm. They bring energy. They bring positivity. You know what I mean? They run all day. That's just the nature of being a young guy. You know what I mean? I was young once. You know what I mean? You run all day. You know what I mean? You're excited to be part of the process or the project or whatever it is. What you need now is your older guys or more experienced guys to guide them, to help them along, and to provide those bits of quality. You know what I mean? That the young guys can thrive off. So really. He's right, the manager. It is a process.
It's a process. So we're talking about the P word now. The process, a project. It is.
And whether he's the right man to oversee that is a different thing.
That's a whole different show. However, he could change his narrative. He could change his story in the sense of he's got all his players now. We've got no European football, so we've got no midweek games. For me, I actually think we have a lot more depth as well now, because we got more signings, more young players, more players that can swap in and out for players. Like Xhaka's not going to be available now, but Lukonga can go straight in there. The process or the project, whatever you want to bloody call it, doesn't matter. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. I'm not sold. I think you're right in what you say. Is Arteta the man to oversee it?
I have my reservations about Arteta, I'll be honest. For number one, I question some of his man management. I mean, we all know and seen what's happened with Saliba. To a lesser extent, Guendouzi and one or two others. The Ozil thing I didn't think was managed particularly well, although some people would say that he was more than justified in letting Guendouzi and in particular Ozil go. But Saliba is a weird one. I think we've seen at times some of the other guys, you get the impression that all has not always been well.
Yep.
And I'm looking at certain decisions, the treatment of some of the players. I don't think Pepe's always been treated well. I get the impression the manager doesn't trust him. Some people out there might say he's right to have that attitude about. But yet, in general, I just think that man management might be an issue. I think tactically can be a bit naive at times. I mean, on Sunday, I sort of was joking to you guys that on Saturday, in many ways, was Arteta's finest moment as a manager. But even then, even in his finest moment, he still managed to fuck up the second half a bit, which I found was a little bit.
In a sense,
didn't make the substitutions quick enough, at the right time, and then all of a sudden, it looked like we were hanging on a little bit in a game that we were totally dominant in the first half. To me, that should have been a 5-0 game, right? And we won 3-1, and in the end, we were kind of huffing and puffing a little bit towards the end. Maybe Spurs might have had a penalty. You know what I mean? All things like that, I'm thinking, bro, that game should have been put to bed from time.
Yeah.
So there are still elements of his management that I'm not totally sold on, but it would appear that the board, I mean, they've entrusted him with a lot of money. We were the highest spenders in that last transfer window, about 150 million.
Yeah.
He's bought some good players in, there's no doubt about it. So he's going to get time. So listen, man, I want to see what he can do from here. I'm not writing him off completely, but I do have my reservations.
Perfect. And we've got Premsy. I'm going to close on this. Premsy with a
shout out my boy Premsy.
Big up Premsy.
Weekend seems like a very nice guy, man.
Big up Premsy every time. _AFC says we need to show consistency and heart every week, and that is where.
Can he get that consistency?
And can he get that passion out of the players every week? That is the real question, guys. Thank you everyone for watching this AFTV News Daily with me, Cecil G, and Laurie Lyle. It's been a pleasure.
Listen, man, when are you going to invite?
We'll bring you back on, man. We'll bring you back on. You was very.
Not bringing me out.
Nah, allow me. We'll bring you back. Thank you for joining me, and thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the AFTV channel. And tomorrow we have Jordan as a special guest on the AFTV News Daily. So make sure you check that out. That is Jordan Jaron Bryan. It's your guy as well.
That's my guy, man.
He'll be here tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.